hope you all enjoyed the films you just watched. My name is Leanne Jones, and I'm on the McMinnville Short Film Festival Board of Directors. I'll be your host for this section of the Filmmakers Q&A. First, let me welcome all the filmmakers whose films you just saw. Thank you all for being with us tonight. It's good to see you. Thank you. It's a wonderful block of films to watch, so I've got some questions for you, so let's just jump right in. Let's start with Richard with Trevor Waits. Richard, I know you're from the Oregon area, but you're in Hawaii right now, right?
I am in Hawaii, just escaping the dreary Oregon winter.
There you go. So your film, I was curious if it was easier or more difficult to have so few actors in your film. He did an amazing job. I was just curious if it's easier just having a few actors or if it's easier having an ensemble.
I think it's a lot easier having an ensemble. I think your editing becomes a lot simpler. You end up with a lot more editorial options. This actually reads an awful lot like a stage play, and there were some things we had to build into the screenplay just to make it a little bit more filmic. We had an actress, Suzanne Owens Duvall, who was originally scheduled to be just a voiceover, and responding to Trevor Waits, who's knocking on his doors and pretending to speak to his neighbor, and just for the interest of making it more filmic, we decided to give her an on-camera role. So things like that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. So next, let's jump to Deanna with Black Coffee. This was such an intimate film, such wonderfully written. And you're the writer and producer, correct?
Yes, and the casting director.
And you have many roles.
Many roles.
What was the inspiration for your storyline? I'm really curious if this has something to do with real life or what.
So this actually was, ironically, from Rick there, this actually was a stage play, and so many people liked it as a stage play that we decided to turn it into a short film. So we didn't change very much in the actual dialogue and all of that. And it was based off of my lead actor, Tony DeCarlo, who is absolutely amazing. He was in a previous play of mine, and someone just kind of like looked at him and had that feeling. And I thought, there you go, I got to write this for him. And I wrote it for him. And then my lead actress was actually, I'm a teacher, it was an ex-student of mine. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is just like the perfect coupling. And what would it be like if a woman just went up to a man and just in a coffee shop wanted to kiss him and see what went from there? And it's been delightful to see what's happened with this play turned into film, and what people are getting from it in terms of realism and just overall connection on so many different levels. And it's really beautiful, and I'm very grateful and thankful.
I really love the actors. I don't know if their personalities are like the characters, but they work together so well.
Yeah, they had only met once previously, and we shot it in one day only. So it was a very, very quick shoot. So they rehearsed it quickly one day previously, shot it in one day. They are very similar in some ways to their characters' personalities, but also very different. And they were great at just taking direction to how I felt the connection should be between the two of them, because the story is very much about the connection between the two actors as much as the plot. And that was really important to me.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. Now let's jump to Joe with Hollywood Murderland. It was a really fun film to watch. So compared to the several feature films you've made, what do you like about making short films, and what do you find you have more freedom with short films?
First of all, thanks for having the movie. It's awesome. And also, I'm not a pretentious filmmaker that wears a scarf. My place is just really cold. So that's why I'm wearing it. I like just the immediate feedback of it, and you can just kind of let it go right when it's done. I don't think it like sticks around as long, and there's not as much investment in it versus a feature film, which takes like a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe more. This took like a week and a half from start to finish. So it's more about, I think, just keeping the tool sharp and just having a lot of fun.
Oh, very cool. How was it being in, an actor in it too? How was that difficult?
I've just since I was a little kid, I've always just done like little skits like this. So I love just kind of performing. I'm kind of like a 13-year-old inside. So I don't really view it so much as acting. It's just like having a lot of fun with friends and just trying to showcase and have that fun in front of the camera, and hopefully it gets across.
Oh, very cool. Thank you. And next we'll jump to Anita with Winter Rose. Hi, Anita.
Hello.
And this is your second time with the McMinnville Short Film Festival, so congratulations for that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. What role has the film festivals played in your filmmaking career?
Well, film festivals have been the primary basis of my filmmaking, as far as distribution and incentive. And if there weren't such a thing as a film festival, I probably wouldn't have taken the leap and made my first film. So I'm very grateful for that the technology has become so user friendly, and that there's a plethora of festivals and different kinds of some like to feature a particular subject matter or their geography, or honoring a local personality. So it's wonderful to see the outlets for creativity and the audiences that are able to enjoy them.
Thank you so much. Next, let's jump to Anna with She Had It Coming. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me.
So your director for this film is Getty Watanabe, which we know from 16 Candles and many other things. How did you come to partner with him for this project?
So when we were first deciding, who we wanted to have in what role for production, because I wrote the material, initially there was the thought that I would direct it myself, but I'll be really honest that I just wasn't feeling really comfortable in the production space. And our male lead in the film, Kurt Kanazawa, who plays Ethan, he had a friendship with Getty. And I guess Getty had just mentioned to him that he was always kind of curious about directing, but he himself didn't feel quite confident enough to do a feature off the bat. And so this was kind of the sweet spot for both of us. And so Kurt recommended him and, just went from there. It was perfect. It was great. He was amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful. That was a really fun film to watch.
Thank you.
And next we'll jump to Tessa. Hi, Tessa, the pizza party. So I read from your director's statement why you chose this storyline for your film. Would you mind sharing that story with us?
Yeah. So Pizza Party is a dystopian magic realist retelling about what might have happened the night before the Larry Nassar trials began. And for those of you that don't know, the Larry Nassar trials happened back in 2017, where at the time it was around 56, but later over 200 women have come forward testifying against the sexual abuse of Larry Nassar, a former doctor and medical professional on both the national Olympics gymnastics team, and also worked at colleges, universities, and high schools. So this kind of came, I'm an actor by trade. I was in my final semester at my MFA acting training, and we were taking a filmmaking for actors class. And I had been listening to the podcast Believed on NPR, Michigan Radio, where they talk about, it's a whole podcast on systems of belief and how Nasser got away for so long and believing particularly young women. And it was this kismet moment of having to write a single location script and being kind of obsessed and interested in the trials as a survivor myself. And I wrote it as a homework assignment. And my teacher, Jean Gallerano, who ended up starring in the film as Max, said, no, you're gonna make this. And now I am a director. It was my first film.
That was pretty awesome. He gave you that push.
Yeah. I am so grateful for him because he was the person that really made it feel close to me. He said, no, this is easy. You can do this. I promise you. And I think it had been, as an actor who had been on camera many times before, it felt so distant from me in that way. And he was like, nah, you've got this. You got all the skills. Just, fake it till you make it was the motto of that project.
That's awesome. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go back through. I've got another question for each one of you, just kind of working around. Go back to Richard. Richard, I'm curious what the inspiration for the storyline for your film was with Trevor Wrights.
I don't remember exactly. It was done a long time ago, written a long time ago, produced much more recently than that. But, it's said that there are only about 5 different themes in filmmaking, and everybody riffs off one of them. And I sort of did that as well. It's a film about quiet desperation and the people who live lives like that. And I think I probably do that. I'm a little bit older, and time is getting short, and there's still a lot that I haven't done. And that doesn't mean that I and a lot of other people still aren't paralyzed with fear about trying different things sometimes and just putting it out there. And so I decided to just kind of attack that subject and took it to extremes with Trevor, a guy who has fallen so desperately in love with somebody that he's never actually met, never actually seen. He only knows her or him by his piano playing, and he is constantly making an attempt to approach this person, but his trepidation always gets the better of him, and I think that kind of halting behavior is I think everybody probably experiences that to greater or lesser extent in their lives, and I like the idea of exploring that as a universal theme.
Yeah, we do all have that issue. And next we'll jump to Deanna again with Black Coffee. So what made you want to become a filmmaker or a writer or producer? Did you always have an interest in films, or how did
this is actually my first film.
Wow.
So like I said, I am a teacher, and I teach theater and writing in addition to elementary school and other things. And I've gotten into playwriting, and like I said, we were just so delighted with the reception of this as a play that we decided to turn it into a short film, and I knew absolutely nothing about it. Nothing about the world of producing, and nothing about the world of insurance, nothing about the world at all, and just kind of dove in. I hired an high school kid actually to be my director, who was the sibling of a student that I had, and we had like a high school college crew, and they were relying on me for information, and I just went by the seat of my pants totally, and hoping I wasn't breaking any major rules and going, okay, I dotted this I, crossed this T, and I hope somebody likes it. And I'm just delighted. And now I'm like, now I want to take another one of my short plays that has kind of this similar energy and turn it into a short film post-COVID and see where that gets us, because it's just really inspired me and sparked a whole new love in me that I didn't quite know I had.
So how was that working with one of your students, especially with someone so young?
So it was the sibling of one of my students. So he was 18, and I had the student previous years. But it was interesting because they were the whole crew was, I think, probably under 22-ish at the most, maybe like 21. And here I was, we filmed it at my house. We turned the whole living room into a coffee shop. And I was just like, well, I'm going to do this. And like we said, fake it till you make it. I just was kind of going with that. And hoping that I was doing enough stuff right. But it was a very interesting energy from a completely young crew that had only done film either in their first year of college or in a high school of the arts. And they kind of expected me to know stuff. I kind of expected them to know stuff. And really, not many of us knew anything. And we just worked together and had a blast.
Yeah, it worked out beautifully.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Very impressive. So next we will head to Joe with Hollywood Murderland again. And Joe, how did you get started making films? What's your history there?
My older brother, when I was about 10 years old, he had a camcorder and he was just getting rid of it. And I just was pretty much obsessed from there of just like how the camera worked, and started making stuff with my family and friends, and it's snowballed from that to 22 years later, and it's here now. So I've been very fortunate to discover that passion at a really young age, and luckily I've just been able to follow that and pursue that, and that's my fuel, and that's what I do every day.
Have you been in quite a few festivals? Has that been an influence for you?
To be honest, not for a few years, and that's why I was really excited about this and just like getting back into that scene a little bit. Obviously, it's completely different now with the new world we're in, but things like this are, I think, really exciting, especially with today, and so I love getting back into it, and so I've just kind of started exploring it again, so that makes this a lot of fun.
Very cool. Next we'll go to Anita again with Winter Rose. So how did your love of filmmaking come about, Anita?
Well, I've always loved film as an audience member, and years ago, I don't know if you remember the Project Greenlight that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck had sponsored, I think through HBO, and you were to write a feature script, and then you would peer review the other scripts, but you had to submit a crew. If your project is greenlit, who's going to be making the film? And neither my writing partner nor I had any experience in filmmaking. So I just said, okay, I'll do it. And our project was not greenlit, but it put a kind of a little bug in my ear. I thought, you know what? I think we could. So we took another project of ours that was a short script rather than a feature, and directed that, and had no idea at all what I was doing. And then the next one, I was fortunate enough to engage people who knew so much more than I did, which was a good lesson for me, that if you call yourself a director, the best thing that you can do is surround yourself with people who are the very best at what they do, and just kind of stay out of their way and let them do do what they do. So that's kind of been my rule of thumb. And so far, it's been a wonderful experience.
Well, it shows in your filmmaking for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, Anna, Wish She Had It Coming. I'm curious, since your film had a seance in it and was reaching out past the dead, if there's anything weird or crazy that happened during the filming. I'm just curious.
Not in a paranormal sense.
Okay. Or anything else.
I mean, your regular stuff that you just can't anticipate. You know, even for LA, it was like an unusually warm July weekend. And so, like, for instance, we had to do hair and makeup outside in the backyard. And I had to have a little bit of a discussion with the owner of the home about allowing our cast and crew to have water inside, which I thought was like a human right that they needed, you know, so just little things like that. But no, I mean, I can't think of anything which maybe that would have, you know, heightened the material. So it's too bad. But unfortunately, no, we didn't have anything like that happen.
You had a great cast. How did that come about, the ensemble cast that you had?
I just really lucked out. It started with the woman who is the lead in the film, Skylar Schock. She's also the co-EP on it. And like I said, you know, my background's writing, and I kind of was just like sitting on this script. The short is actually, you know, a sequence pulled from the feature version of the script. And she had read the entire thing and just really pushed for us to do it. And that script had been read at a table read that was hosted by Skylar and Kurt, so the two leads of the film. And so a great deal of the other actors that came on board were just friends that, you know, we had made along the way that had been part of those table reads. And so, again, I just feel very fortunate because there was a familiarity with all the different actors. And so even though, you know, they didn't like go to high school with each other like the characters do in the film, they kind of had that sense of knowing each other. So it really worked out in that regard.
Yeah, it did feel like they knew each other for quite a while, which was kind of fun to see.
Thank you.
And Tessa, with Pizza Party, so you had a very large ensemble.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did that come about? Was it difficult to have so many people working with you?
Well, you know, it's kind of echoing a little bit of what Rich said earlier. Even though it was my first film, I'm a theater maker. You know, I grew up as a musical theater actor. I grew up, you know, I'm a theater performer. So I think the thing that was really surprising was that it felt like staging a play, because we were gifted with being in one location, very much proscenium style shoot, where it's audience speakers at this meeting, this pre-trial meeting that is a pizza party as well. But I think, so in terms of casting, I mean, those are friends of friends, friends of friends of friends. I happen to be really lucky because I'm an actor and I know a ton. I lived in New York for 7 years. I know a ton of actors in New York. I had some friends from LA that were out. Like, it ended up being, I mean, all of the people, our background actors, were all professional working actors that many of whom were no longer doing background work anymore, but had expressed, especially many of the women, I'm really connected to the story. I'm really connected to the narrative. I'm a survivor too, or I know a survivor. This resonates me. This collective courage concept resonates with me. I'll do it for nothing, like no problem. Which is how I think, I mean, we were just blessed with that, because that's how I think the film really became what it was the ensemble. We had about 18 background actors, and then we had our 5 main cast members. The ensemble was the backbone of this piece. And it was really magical. I hear that that's rare for it to be that special. Your first time making a movie. It was pretty incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. It did look like they were a great cast too.
Amazing. They were amazing.
So my last question is going to be basically the same question for all of you. We'll just go around and ask, but I'm curious, what's next for you? What do you have in the works? What's next? So we'll start with Rich again.
Well, actually, I'm changing careers. I'm working on a novel right now, and it's written very much in the style of the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. I don't know if any of you have read that, but it's a story that's told from the perspective of 4 or 5 main characters, and I attended the London Film School, and a lot of people came through there as guest lecturers, and I asked the question of many of them if they were just starting out again, whether they would try by initially breaking into the film business, or whether they would write a novel. And almost to a person, they said they would write a novel and try and sell the rights and get it produced as a film. And I thought I'd give that a shot. That said, the director of photography that I worked with on Trevor Waits has read what I've written of the novel so far, and he has decided that we should make it a film. So
That's awesome.
So I guess that's what's happening.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. And Deanna, what's next for you?
I'm still going to be a teacher, but I hopefully right this year I'm teaching 3rd grade due to COVID, but I am also still teaching drama and creative writing, and I love igniting that spark in others and getting that passion for acting and writing and directing in other students. But at the same time, like I said, I would love to. I'm playing around with a couple of my short plays, turn another one into a short film. And I'm also, like Richard, experimenting with other genres of writing, be it poetry, be it, short story, and things along those lines. I've joined a writers group that's been really wonderful, and just experimenting with different genres of writing for myself as a writer.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. And Joe, what about you? What's next for you?
I'm pretty excited, actually. In February, we're just going to get like the same cast together and just do like a completely different genre and kind of dive into a new project. I binge watched Dawson's Creek over quarantine, which is like a really bad teen soap. And so I think it's going to be a bunch of like 20 and 30 somethings asking each other to prom for 10 minutes. So I'm pretty excited. It should be a lot of fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. It was a great cast too.
Thank you. Yeah, they're awesome.
And Anita, what's next for you?
Well, we'll see. I have an animated short about economics that is not as dry as it sounds. It's actually a comedy. I would like to get busy on that, and there's a rom-com that I'm working on, and I've been fortunate to just take some time, some non-production time during the COVID to do some essay writing, and I don't know if anything will come of that or not, but it's always good to get something down on paper. So that's what's happening right now.
Oh, wonderful. And Anna, what's next for you?
Well, we're kind of still at the beginning of our festival run for She Had It Coming. So as far as the short goes, we're looking forward to, hopefully, fingers crossed, having more opportunities to share the film at different festivals through the fall. And, we'll see where the world is come fall, and maybe us filmmakers can actually meet each other at some point. But other than that, I'll admit that as one of the EPs on the film, like I said, my earlier kind of reluctance to dive into production, I don't know what I'm thinking, but I already have like an idea for the next short I want to do. So hopefully that will happen before the year is up. And, again, due to COVID, there was a web series idea that got postponed. So hopefully all these things will start to come together later in the year, and then otherwise just continuing to work on scripts.
Oh, very nice. And Tessa, what's next for you?
So Pizza Party is actually nearing towards the last couple of months of our festival run, and we've got a few lined up, which I'm really excited about. And then for me, I am, ironically enough, full circle, I was asked to be the assistant teacher for the class that I wrote my film in. So I am teaching at the USC MFA drama program with the third year MFA students, and we're actually doing like a full NBA pod. We're going to make a movie in March with those students. So I'm producing and first ADing all the students. And then I am also in pre-production for my second short. And I'm co-writing with a very close friend of mine from grad school, Bacola Ogunmola. And it is about white female complicity during the movement for Black Lives, which I'm really, 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 and it is a dark comedy. I'm really excited about that one.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight, and congratulations on getting in. And thank you to our viewers for helping us celebrate 10 years of the McMinnville Short Film Festival. Check the schedule and tune in for more wonderful films, and then join us for the live awards ceremony on Sunday, February the 28th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Or 5 p.m. Pacific time, sorry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.